guys, what is up? This is Ben Foggin's Media Corner and welcome back to another movie review, aka After I Saw. And today I'm going to be talking about the 2021 family superhero comedy known as Flora and Ulysses. Now, Flora and Ulysses, this is basically directed by Lena and also based on the book of the same name, which I've never read, but this basically tells the story of this 10-year-old girl named Flora, played by Matilda Lawler, and basically her family has now been her parents have been separated. Like, she lives with her mother, Phyllis, played by Alyson Hannigan, and basically she's trying to be a good writer, but she's not writing. She's basically trying to write like good romantic stories, but she's not really good at writing whatsoever. And basically her father, George, played by Ben Schwartz, basically he used to be a comic book creator, but he stopped doing that because nobody really liked his comic books. And so what happens is Flora, she comes across this injured squirrel that she found after an incident and starts to raise it as her own and calls her Ulysses. And what happens is, for this squirrel, Ulysses is not a regular squirrel source, because this special squirrel has actually got superpowers. And basically we see the whole misadventures between Flora and the squirrel Ulysses throughout the entire movie. So it's pretty much the story of Flora and Ulysses. So for going into Flora and Ulysses, I didn't really know much about this movie going into it, because again, I never read the book, nor did I realize this was actually based off a book, and this was a new Disney Plus movie, and I just watched this on Disney Plus today. It came out last month, so my review is a bit late, so that's why I'm doing it right now. But anyway, for again, this movie, I didn't see the trailers or anything because I didn't want the trailers to spoil me what I thought the movie was going to be like, because I kind of usually don't want to do that sometimes. But if it's anything what I heard people talk about or anything, I just kind of wanted to check out a trailer, so it's like, say, like, what I'm really looking forward to seeing, or even sometimes not interested in seeing. But from before I watched the trailer of sorts, I thought the movie looked like it was going to be a bit cheesy of sorts, because of making another superhero family comedy, which we had that kind of stuff before in the past, which sometimes they kind of work, but sometimes they usually end up as complete garbage movies. But I was familiar with some of the cast members in the film. You got Alyson Hannigan from American Pie, which is very funny in the American Pie movies. And you've got Ben Schwartz from Sonic the Hedgehog, which I really like that film, and I can't wait for the sequel next year. So I watched this today on Disney Plus, and this movie wasn't bad. I had a pretty good time watching this movie. It's not by means a perfect movie, because there are some issues, which I'll get into in a minute, but the performances in the film by young Matilda Lawler, who plays our main protagonist of the film, Flora, she was pretty good in the movie, and she has a few like tongue-in-cheek moments in the film that I thought were pretty funny. And we see her also narrate the film as well, giving us a monologue about her backstory, that she was inspired by comic books. And it pays homage to some of the comic books like we've like grew up with when we were younger as kids. Like, it pays homage to like Marvel, DC comics, like, for seeing those, they were pretty good to see. They were like kind of like a tribute of sorts when I was watching this movie. And for like the new like comic books we see, they were mainly created by Ben Schwartz's character George. They were pretty creative, and you kind of see, like, on the look, you kind of feel for like the dad of the film, because he's really a failed comic book artist, a comic book creator, because no one really liked his comic books whatsoever, and nobody wanted to even like buy them of sorts. And that's why he like gave up on the whole thing until his life goes completely back to life again, when he follows the adventures of his daughter, and the squirrel. And for Ben Schwartz's performance in the movie as George, I'll get back to the narration in a minute, but for Ben Schwartz's performance as George, he was pretty good in the movie, and he was also pretty funny as well, like he did before when I saw him in Sonic the Hedgehog, which he's fun in Sonic the Hedgehog, but here he delivered a pretty fun performance here in this movie. He has a lot of charm, and he's really like charismatic in the film, which I really enjoyed by him. And I forgot to say, the narration in the film by Matilda Lawler's character Flora as well. It doesn't show about her monologue about her backstory in the film. It also like speaks to us of like what she's doing in the movie along with the squirrel, the squirrel, and that was also pretty good too. And she has she has a few tongue-in-cheek moments, and again I thought she was pretty good in the movie. And Alyson Hannigan in the movie, who plays the mother in the film, Phyllis, who again is a failed writer who's trying to make like romantic novels. For her character, I heard in the original book she's kind of like an antagonist of sorts, playing sort of like a mean mom of sorts, which thankfully this movie does not want to do that, because it doesn't want, you know, to basically make kids a bit comfortable seeing, you know, a mother who just disapproves her daughter of like what she's doing with a squirrel. Thankfully this movie does not do that, because you just kind of want to see her along with her daughter and her ex-husband in this movie, along with the squirrel, when they get up to their misadventures throughout the entire movie, which thankfully this movie did a pretty good job with that. And as for other performances in the film, you got Danny Pudi, who plays Miller, the animal controller. For his villain, I was almost a bit worried what his villain was going to be like in this movie, because I thought, is he going to be like stereotypical or anything like that? I was a bit worried of that at first, but thankfully he does not do that in this movie, and he delivered a pretty good performance in the film. And you got Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, who plays William in the film, who's Flora's friend in the film. He has some really fun sarcasm moments, which had me chuckle in the movie when he was on screen along with Flora and the squirrel. He was pretty funny in the movie. And you got Janeane Garofalo as well. She was also pretty funny as well in the movie. Everyone else, they did a pretty good job with their performances. And for the CGI technique they used for Ulysses the squirrel in the movie, of course, you know, the squirrel obviously has to be CGI, which that wasn't the biggest issue with the movie, which the technique they used for the graphic details for like saying like the squirrel can do special stuff, like say he can fly, he has like super strength, or can jump off anything, like say like he can jump off the edge of a balcony or something, or can jump off the edge of I don't know, something high. And then they did a pretty good job with that, and they actually did a well done job with that. And of course, you know, they had to use some, and I think they did also use the actual squirrel for a few scenes in the movie there for things he can't really do, like say this real squirrel cannot really jump, because again they use the CGI effects for the squirrel in this movie to do what the squirrel is actually doing in the movie, since this squirrel has superpowers. And for the jokes and the humor in the film, they are, of course, you know, mostly slapstick. There are some slapstick humor in this film, which some of them do work, some of them kind of don't for me. But they did have chuckles here and there, and that's just sort of like an issue. It's just some of the jokes and the humor kind of fell a little bit flat for me, but I still had a pretty good time. And luckily the humor's not like kind of like pulling your hair moments, or thinking like it's not like you're so angry and you just kind of like want to pull your hair out, like how dumb it is. But thankfully this movie is not dumb, because again it's a really fun and enjoyable superhero family film. And for being a superhero film, it's mostly being a family film really, because it's mainly about Flora and her family, and you do feel a bit of like an emotional strength for her character, which it did a pretty good job. And it did not make me cry or anything. It still had a pretty good essence of being like how for like the family drama for Flora's character in the film, which again they did a pretty good job. And for being, you know, a superhero film, when we see, you know, a furry special squirrel, it's a really fun and enjoyment thing for the little kids if they want to watch something really good involving, you know, an animal that has superpowers. In which we had some films that did that, but none of them were that good. Like we had Underdog, which I'll do a review on that on my channel and give you guys my honest opinions on that movie. But in the end, though, Flora and Ulysses, it was a pretty fun movie. It was a pretty enjoyable superhero family comedy. It's not a great movie, but still is a pretty good movie. And it is a bit cheesy at times, but I still had some laughs and enjoyment out of it. Although some of them kind of fell a bit flat for me, but in the end, I had a pretty good time watching this movie. So overall, I'm going to give Flora and Ulysses a C+. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching my review of Flora and Ulysses. If you did see the film, I'd like to hear your thoughts of this film. Again, it's streaming on Disney+. It came out last month, but I just watched it today because I couldn't watch it on the day it was released because something went wrong with my Disney Plus, but it's all fixed. So I apologize, my review for this film is a bit late, but I'll try my best to see some more Disney Plus movies if I can, and shows. And for speaking of shows, I can't wait for The Falcon and Winter Soldier coming this Friday. And I don't know how many episodes of that show there will be, but when it finishes, I will obviously do my review for that, like I did with WandaVision. So yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching for my review of Flora Ulysses, and stay tuned for more reviews. And this has been Falcon's Media Corner signing off.